Eddie here with Jess Quinn, another edition of the Coach and the Scribe, brought to you by the Rehab Centers with locations in Clarion, Katanning, Brookville, also north side of Pittsburgh, Apollo, and Lower Borough. Give them a call for an appointment. 724-478-1501. Check them out online at therehabcenters.com. That centers R-E at the end, not E-R, the old English spelling of it. Also, their Facebook, they're on Facebook. You can check them out there as well. Really appreciate everything that the Rehab Center does for us, Jess. And anyhow, looking at this game, we were talking about it. North Clarion is just so efficient, I think would be the proper word to use. You look up and in one moment it's a 10-point game and the next minute it's a 20-point game. What is it that you're seeing them doing so well that allows them to just so effortlessly put teams away?
They pass well. They play great team defense. There's not one girl on the floor that looks to dominate. They hit whoever's open. They work the possession, and it works. I mean, we saw some outstanding passing. Of course, Gatesman. She's a Division II player, but Sherman and Schmader, they're at Bauer. They're always looking. They're always cutting, and they're always finding that open girl, whether it's on the block or outside for the three.
Mackenzie Bauer is like the Energizer Bunny. Every time you look up, she's just she's like 5'1", 5'2", doesn't look like anything in terms of a basketball player until you get her on the court, and then it's completely just taking over basketball games. I think she had 7 or 8 steals tonight. As we talked about, smallest girl on the court, and she's getting 6, 7 rebounds. She just sort of does it all for them. And how important is it to have a player like that?
When you have star players like a Gatesman, Sherman down low, getting rebounds and things, you need somebody who is going to be the general on the floor, meaning you need somebody who's going to bring the ball up, somebody's going to distribute, somebody's going to set the screen, somebody's going to do all the little things to make the team better, and she does. She comes up with steals. It's not the little, Clarion got a fast break. She was behind the play. She beat the girl to the spot, stops the fast break. Everybody can get back on defense. What happens? North Clarion gets a steal. They come right back. There's no stat for that, but that is huge. She stopped that fast break, stopped those transition or potential transition points, and it's huge for her team.
And what you're saying is this is why North Clarion is the only undefeated team in District 9 right now. Obviously, there's things that at the midpoint season that they can still work on, still clean up. They didn't rebound real well in the first half. Sometimes it almost looks, for lack of a better word, like they get bored out there at times when the game gets out of hand, which is completely understandable. But to me, they're the class of District 9. The team this week in girls basketball in the district that really surprised me a little bit, Punxsutawney, who I kind of had below St. Mary's. So did Andy Close. Rich Rhodes was the only one of us who was the smart guy in the group, had them above it when we were doing our rankings last week. But they took St. Mary's in the second half down there at Punxsutawney the other night and really took them behind the woodshed a little bit. And showed that maybe they're still the class of Class 4A, where maybe some people, including myself, thought that maybe this was St. Mary's year, and it might still be St. Mary's this year, but especially after losing Abby Gigliotti to a knee injury, I really thought that St. Mary's had a leg up, but so many players, they're kind of like North Clarion. The Presloy girls, Chloe, the younger one, and Riley, those are, for those in District 9 and the KSAC who know Dave Sherman, those are his nieces. And then Sarah Weaver and Riley Cassidy has really stepped up her game for them this year, especially since Gigliotti has gone out, and really impressed with what I've seen from Punxsutawney being able to rally back from that injury and get a big win and maybe still be that class in 4A.
Well, you look at an injury like that, you look at a team, you look at their coach, we can feel sorry for ourselves. We can say, well, our best player, we lost this person. Or you can take that and say, girls, we need everybody to step up. And that's why, you talked about that comparison with the North Clarion. Who are we going to pick for player of the game? You and I had that conversation tonight. It's the same way when Punxsutawney plays. You can take any one of those girls who contributes, and they're all doing everything they need to do to help their team win. And that is the mark of a great team, where you can take a girl and she suffers, an injury where she's out for the rest of the season, and the rest of the girls don't feel sorry for themselves. They say, we got to pick ourselves up. Let's get going. And they do, and they step up. That's the kind of thing you like to hear. Those are stories. You don't want to hear about injuries and things like that. Those things happen, but you want to hear how everybody else steps up. And, those girls there in Punxsutawney are doing it.
Big game we're going to have on Tuesday that we're going to be broadcasting. North Clarion hosting Red Bank Valley. Red Bank 10-2, 11-2 going into tonight. One of those, it gets to this point in the year, and I sometimes miss the record by a game or so, but
Sure.
I apologize. But really, the Lady Bulldogs playing as well as anybody. They've developed, along with Keystone, probably the co-favorites in Class AA. North Clarion's obviously the favorite in A. Tara Hinderlater, over the last 2 years, first couple years, maybe in her sister's shadow a little bit down there. Brooke was such a great player, but Tara herself has come up and become a 1,000-point scorer, and just what they're doing and what Chris Edmonds is doing with that program is some really impressive things. It
is, and you like to see that. You always have, a younger brother, a younger sister kind of staying in that shadow. And I think Brooke, if you interviewed her, she would say the exact same thing. Look at what she is doing. It wasn't anything that Brooke did. Now that she has stepped in and really grown into the player that she is, helps her team win, plays hard. I mean, she learned from her sister, obviously, but, looking at what she's done this year is just, like I said, you talk about the stories you want to hear in District 9, and she is one of the highlights.
Well, another story, and this is kind of what we'll close on, but another great story this year, the Brockway girls. What Dick Esposito's doing with that group, some really great young players, and Selena Buttery, who I think is one of the top sophomores in District 9. It seems that every time I see it, it's double digits in both rebounds and points. And then they've got Morgan Lindenmuth and Danielle Wood, and they had a big win up at Cowdy here a couple of weeks ago, and they've moved into our rankings for the first time in a long time. It's just really nice to see a program that's been down have that kind of success. It's just it's such a great story, and one that and they've got a win over Clarion, they've got a win over Coudersport. So I mean, this is a team that teams in AA better not sleep on, because they'll come up and they'll beat you.
And I think the one word, the key was, and they're young. So, sometimes you get a young team that starts to build confidence. They're very, very hard to beat. They don't know any better, so they just keep winning and keep winning and keep winning. So, you look at that, and those are the types of things you really like to read about. You like to witness a team or a program that hadn't won for a number of years to finally turn that corner, and it, looking to the future, it looks bright, and teams better not sleep on them or they're going to bite you.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of The Coach and the Scribe. Big shout out to Bob, the Governor Dunkel, for doing the video. We really appreciate that, Bob. And a big shout out to the Rehab Center. Again, locations, Brookville, Clarion here in District 9, Katanning on the edge of District 9. Give them a call for an appointment, 724-478-1501. Check them out on Facebook. Check them out online as well, therehabcenters.com. Again, that's centers, CENTRES.com. So, again, until next time, this is Chris Rossetti saying good night for Jess Quinn.